could do it. Let's get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Alright, so this is Tetris Attack, the garbage stacking game where you form combos and chains in order to make garbage to break through the top of their screen in order to get a quick kill. And the most optimal way to do that is by sending a sizable amount of combos and chains for each stage.
And for those of you who don't know about combos and chains, combos you get by matching more than 3 of the same color in a vertical horizontal line, or in the case of making like 5 in a row, for example, like you may have seen FFR do. They're just now an L shape, or you can also make a T shape. There are several different ways to make combos and chains, and you want to be able to make use of them all to do the best in this game. You make chains by linking sets of 3 or more panels in a row, where you make a match, then the panels disappear, and then panels above it fall, and then make another match. And you want to be able to make good use of both of those things, like I said, to really get the fastest times.
Yeah, and because I noticed that chat was also wondering why this game happens to be called Tetris Attack. Well, if you guys watched the panel to pawn race, you might have noticed it's very anime-esque. All the main characters are basically little girls and fairies and a bunch of stuff. Well, waifus weren't as popular back in the day, believe it or not. So Nintendo, rightfully so, figured the easiest way to market this game would be to change all of its graphics, and in this case they changed it to Yoshi. The reason they actually called it Tetris Attack was because Nintendo owned the Tetris license at the time, and decided that since Tetris is their most popular puzzle game, naming this Tetris Attack is going to immediately get people to want to buy it, because off first glance you will think that it's a Tetris game just with colorful shapes. I believe actually Hank Rogers has gone on the record saying that was maybe the worst decision he agreed to ever do, because this game is nothing like Tetris absolutely in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
My future games are called Puzzle League instead of Tetris Attack.
Yeah, if you have played the Nintendo 64 variant, Pokemon Puzzle League, this game is pretty much just like this, but with Pokemon and Ash and the gang like slapped onto it with like the Pokemon name for it. But it's very similar to this.
The game series itself has a bit of a history, along with like, for example, the N64 game was basically not going to happen until somebody in some office decided to take up the scrapped pound-upon N64 game and make it Pokemon. So, I mean, there's a lot in the history of the series itself. In this case, even bringing this game over stateside has brought changes into the gameplay mechanics itself. It's actually a bit of a different strategy, if any of you watch the panel to pawn race, because the AI actually works differently in between the two games. So, Cards can correct me, but in one of them you definitely want to go for more combos than chains, I think. There's definitely gameplay differences between the two games that you have to account for in your playstyle.
Really, the main difference between the two is more or less based on the AI behavior. Like, in the later difficulties, you may find that these Tetris Attack foes will actually raise their stack a little bit higher at the start than they would otherwise. The general rule is that in panel to pawn, all the opponents, especially the later ones, will raise their stack 1 row at the very beginning. But but in Tetris Attack, the later opponents will raise their stack 2 rows. So they are actually a little bit easier to dispose of on average. So typically Tetris Attack ends up being faster for particularly the later difficulties in this versus mode, but there's a bit of an interesting twist in panel to pawn, because the earlier panel to pawn foes actually raise their stack higher. You see a lot of the stages here where the opponents aren't raising their stack at all. That's become a bit of an acquired trait in the later modes. So Panel de Pawn's earlier modes actually end up being faster than Tetris Attack on average. Neat little quirk.
Right, and since the later foes and the harder difficulties raise their stacks more aggressively, it's best to, like, sometimes you can get lucky and just not send very much at all, and they'll wind up, like, running out of time that way, just because they can't clear what little is going on, just because they're trying to either, like, lower their stack or just find a clear so aggressively.
And I've actually just realized we entered the tower cave, however you want to call it there, where it's the final couple bosses. This is where the difficulty ramps up a little bit in comparison to the first 8 stages, I believe. So it's a little bit of a harder game at this point.
Yeah, the AI is a lot more aggressive when it comes to the back from stage 9 onwards, which is the Cave of Witness with the bosses.
Yeah. Now some of the foes actually know a little bit about chaining, but before stage 9, any chains they would get would be purely by accident. But I don't remember necessarily about these easier modes, but definitely as we get further along in this particular category, you will see the opponents actually set up some chains, so they can be a little bit luck based to get through quickly, but it'll start to be a bit more uniform the later we go. And as you might have seen earlier on with some of these easy modes stages, the opponents haven't been raising their stacks at all, so you see a lot of 20-something second times, which is kind of the norm for easy mode and normal mode to some extent. But at least FFR has finished easy mode, and there are only 10 stages in easy mode, and per our community rule set, once the timing is finished for one of the modes, and then the screen starts to fade to black after fading from white, you can reset and move on to the next. So that's going to be the normal progression on this one. Easy mode has 10 stages, normal mode has 11 stages, which introduces Kamek, and then hard mode and very hard mode will have 12 stages and make you face Bowser at the end.
So yeah, there's just multiple different progressions of difficulty in this game, be it the AI itself or the amount of levels I actually have to go through to complete the, I guess you'd consider this a story mode. If you're playing outside of the story mode, there's also an extra colored block that can get added into the array as well. So the game has a lot of different layers of ramping up its difficulty. But one of its side effects of this game in general is that if too many things are happening at once, you may get actually quite a bit of slowdown in the game. And it's just because they're really kind of pushing the SNES to its limits with everything that has to happen here.
Yeah, it actually starts slowing down the game so much that I made a bit of a recent discovery, particularly on the Panel de Pawn side, that would also apply to a big extent to Tetris Attack, is that these modes, you can actually manipulate their luck a little bit. You can actually try and start each run with a particular stage, and that's because there's so many things that are moving on screen that the game actually slows down its random number generator. So it's actually possible to get some of the same stages every time to start with if you were that inclined to try and set that up. I don't think either of these players will try to do anything like that with this, especially since I haven't really done the legwork on this particular version to figure out how to do the stages optimally.
Yeah, it's really funny. I actually mentioned it in our Discord that the last time we kind of talked about this game at length was a while ago. during Sunday sequence break, and Card's like, yeah, no, I don't think RNG manipulation will ever happen. And lo and behold, now this game is RNG manipulation.
It's a bit ironic.
So it's getting to that point where now we're gonna have to start, or at least the good players are gonna have to start trying to get those good seeds for their levels to get the really low times. Which actually, Cards did prove is possible to do on an actual SNES, given enough practice. So at least on the first level, anyways.
Yeah, like I've been doing all my work exclusively with Panel the Pawn, and I have successfully manipulated the first 2 stages of the hardest mode to my whim. So there is definitely some potential in there that's still left to be explored.
So one of the things I do want to mention though is that you'll notice at times where it looks like the runner has just stopped playing, and that's actually on purpose. A lot of with the strategy in this game involves kind of like a push and pull methodology. If you make too big of a chain, you're wasting time when a smaller chain would have created enough garbage to stack and defeat your opponent. So if you're making such a large chain, it's actually in negative for you because you're giving the opponent time to clear their stack, and also you're wasting your own time before anything drops. So that's why the first kind of like 20 seconds or so per stage is really the crucial moment. You want to hit that nice in-between spot where you just sent enough garbage and the opponent's stack is just high enough that they won't have enough time to actually do anything. And that's how you get these quick kills that you're seeing right now. As the levels go on, this is obviously going to be a lot harder and harder.
Right, you want to always make sure that you send just enough in the beginning from what you can see, and make sure they're topped off. That way, you're both not doing the same thing at the same time, because as I believe Cards mentioned earlier, that it causes lag, or no, it was you, Aries. It basically causes lag to where, like, the SNES is just, they can't really handle what's going on. So the problem really, like, you'll see both sides doing combos and chains, it'll cause the game to lag, and then like if you drop a huge chain, it'll cause something called a screen shake, which gives them even more stop time, and it's just really frustrating to deal with at times.
Yeah, I don't think we actually went into any detail about what stop time actually is, and that's it's probably one of the more misunderstood concepts this game has. In the normal course of gameplay, this screen that you see on both sides is constantly creeping upward towards the top the top of the well that you see in the blue and red borders on each side. If your stack reaches the top of the screen after a short period of time, the game will try to send your stack through the top of the screen, and if that happens, then you lose. That is the actual lose condition of this game. But there is some stop time you can take advantage of by making combos and chains. Not only do the combos and chains you make send garbage blocks to your opponent's side to make their screen fill up as soon as possible, but it also freezes your stack in place for a period of time, depending on the size of the combo or the chain. So being able to understand that stop time is also a very, very critical part of mastering this game and mastering how to play this fast.
Also, something quick to mention, in the beginning at the title screen, when Yoshi says Nintendo, you can input a code of pressing the B, A, and then L twice, and that is the ball code. And what that basically does is it eliminates stop time, which can both be a good and a bad thing for you and your opponent, because it acts as a double-edged sword to where if you're not expecting it, and you have blocks just being dropped on you at the top of the screen, and you're not able to really do anything about it, you'll wind up losing, and it'll catch you off guard before it winds up killing them, because they're sending so much at you.
Yeah, just so you guys know, that is a bit of a cheat code in the community. The communities treat it basically as a cheat code, and it's not part of the standard rule set for these modes that we play.
Right.
Versus.
That's one of the miscellaneous categories on speedrun.com.
So, FFR just entered hard mode, and I do want to point out something that maybe a couple people might have been wondering, is there's 4, it goes from easy to very hard, but you don't actually see very hard on that, basically level select menu there, and when you actually beat hard mode, the game will give you the miscellaneous cheat, quote-unquote, that holding down, I believe it's the L trigger, and then pressing hard will start the very hard mode, so it's one of those things, where this category itself is kind of like hidden in the game, but in later games it just becomes like an available option as every other category. So
yeah, to unlock that, you have to hold the left trigger and hold up when you have hard mode selected, because that'll unlock very hard, which will cause a red background in between stages like you see here instead of a pink background. That signifies that you're playing on very hard mode instead of normal hard mode.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It'll be actually kind of hard to tell in game when we get to that point. So we may end up pointing that out again when we get there.
also, I noticed that there was some programmer humor in the chat. I definitely approve.
So now that we're on hard mode, the AI tends to be a little bit more aggressive with finding clears, just because their cursor speed moves a lot faster than they would in easy and normal mode. So you sometimes get unlucky, and you just see them finding clear after clear after clear, and just wasting your time.
And since it does put more pressure on you to stack garbage on your opponent as fast as possible, it is worth noting at this point that if you start another chain sequence too quickly after finishing the first one, then not all of your garbage will end up dropping at one time. Like was mentioned earlier, the best way to play this game fast is to balance your combos and chains. That you don't want to make your chain too big, but you also want to fill the screen at the same time. So you want to make up the missing space with combos. But if you start chains too quickly, then that combo garbage you make won't drop immediately.
If I'm not mistaken, from reading your guide, Cards, I believe the optimal setup for hard and very hard is to send a chain of 5 with three lines of combo garbage, I believe, is the optimal quick kill.
That's what I try to go for. It's usually the 5 chain, which creates 4 rows of garbage, and then I want 3 more rows of combo garbage on top of that, which makes 7 lines, and 7 to 8 lines will kill most any foe on hard mode or very hard mode.
Yeah,
it's not a hard and fast rule, but it makes for a decent enough guideline.
I feel like we should probably go over a bit more on how garbage actually works in this game, because we've mentioned that like chains and combos do send garbage, not actually how it sends the garbage. So I mean, the reason that Cards is mentioning a balance with the chains and combos is because the chain, as we've mentioned, the one where it has like the ×3, ×4, those send the really large blocks of garbage. So for every chain, every plus to the chain, the stack of garbage will continue to grow by 1 line. The combos, on the other hand, are like the 4 match, the 5 match, the 6 match. Those send the smaller pieces of garbage. So the reason that we'd want to alternate between the two is, if you actually notice on the opponent's side for both runners, is that it will mix up. There will be chunks of the large garbage, chunks of the smaller garbage, and with it being all chunked up, when you get a match on the garbage and it'll start to clear off, because it's broken apart, it won't all clear at the same time. For example, the larger bricks, they don't all clear at the same time, only like 1 line will go, and then it has to drop, and then the other line has to go, so it's bit by bit by bit. So if there's chunking of that actual garbage, it's a lot more effort to try to clear it through.
Okay, there's FFR done with stage 8. Now he's entering the cave on hard mode, and Zexion falling just a little bit behind at this point with finishing Poochie on hard mode.
Zexion's still on good pace though, based off of his splits that I'm able to see here. He's actually doing really good pace for himself, so it's just that he's very quick on the D-pad. It's
in the community, he has arguably one of the fastest cursor speed movements in the entire community.
He does have the record in this particular category, and as of a few weeks ago, he also took the individual hard mode record too.
Yeah,
well, in addition to his various exploits with the stage clear modes, which some of you may have seen the run of that Zex did. I think it was yesterday. And yeah, FFR has the record in that category for basically every game in this entire series that has a similar mode to it. His cursor speed, his quick reflexes are just one of the great things to see in this community.
Yeah, there's a couple of runners that have just amazing D-pad skills, and FFR is definitely one of them. I think actually we had talks one day, and there's definitely a belief that this game might be has the potential to be one of the highest APM games possible, just because you count all the D-pad movement and all the shuffling of the pieces, it gets to a pretty high point. And then when you actually see them doing it, if anybody's ever seen NES Tetris and one of the strategies involving hyper tapping, that's definitely a thing that's possible in this game as well. So you can get very fast movement.
Yeah, there's a good reason why FFR Pro is a master of the line and stage clear modes of these various games, is because his cursor speed and just clear movement is so unreal at times, and it's very fascinating to watch.
And don't get us wrong, Zexion is certainly no slouch in that department. A lot of people would kill to have the kind of ability Zexion has with this game, but this is just...
Yeah, I would, personally.
Yeah. It's not the easiest thing in the world to try to, like, explain, like, try to give somebody a proper tutorial of this when they have almost little to no experience with these kind of games. At least that's how I feel.
It's unfortunately, these style of games, these puzzle I guess we'll just call it panel switching games, there's a really high skill ceiling. So the thing is, with the skill ceiling, it kind of also reaches like the diminishing returns. If you're watching like the top players do a speedrun, you'll notice that there's maybe not too much difference between the two, but there could also be, like, for example, if we take Cards and FFR, there's a very clear difference between their tapping speed, but then there's also a difference between how they're setting up chains, and it just gets onto completely different levels. You could probably make like trading cards with like pentagrams and have like tapping speed and like chaining and combos and have a trading card for each runner. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, as much as I would like to believe otherwise, my cursor speed doesn't really pale that well in comparison to FFR's. Really, my main strength with this game, this series in general, has been with being able to recognize the patterns, know how things are going to happen before they happen, and this is one of those games where that unfortunately just has to come with years and years of experience. Like,
Right.
Like I have most of my experience with Pokemon Puzzle League, and it's mostly through my years of playing with that I got really good at this. But But this is really one of those games that you get more than most. You can get really rusty in it if you don't shape up. So to see these two players at this kind of level just goes to show the amount of time and effort that's been put into their craft.
This sort of game, if you wanted to get into running it seriously, it definitely requires a lot of time, effort, and dedication towards it. Like when you get used to doing combos and chains consistently, like even like if you are like trying to speedrun this seriously, it's usually not your fault. Like if you wind up getting bad times, it's usually the opponent's fault because they'll sit there trying to find clears after clears after clears for your garbage, and you got to keep like a good mental state of mind while you're running this. Otherwise, it's just going to get the better of you.
And as was noted about very hard mode. Hold on, FFR's stack is getting a bit high there. You don't usually want to let the stack reach the very top of the screen.
Okay,
that gets
we're good.
a little bit scary.
Crisis averted, everyone. Crisis
It's
averted.
a little bit scary at times, but yes, FFR is in very hard mode now, and the only way you can tell is by the dark red background between stages. It's meant to be a hidden mode in this game, so it only shows the hard level graphic in the stage itself.
And since it was brought up, hitting the triggers on the controller will bring that stack up as we're talking about. One of the things you don't want to do is accidentally stack high enough that you kill yourself. It's not fun just throwing away the whole stage because you didn't pay attention to how high or how quick you were clicking that button.
If I may, because I see people talking about various puzzle games in the chat, we have like shoutouts to Puzzle General and the Discord. We have basically all sorts of runners who run various puzzle games: Puzzle Fighter, Dr. Mario, Tetris, these kind of games, Hoyo. Like, you pretty much name the puzzle game, and we'll probably have a runner there who runs it.
Alright, Zexion's on Bowser here right now, and it's honestly looking like he's going to be even more ahead. Like, he's on really good pace, and relative to himself, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the point in both of these runs where the first 20 seconds of the stage can be really critical in how long these stages tend to take.
Well, Zex, no. He might. That garbage is getting pretty close, and Bowser's kind of wondering what to do.
Oh man, this lunge fish for FFR is being really
Okay,
difficult on him.
Zexion's still ahead of his time, so this could be a PB for him if everything goes well, which is really exciting.
It's definitely exciting to get a new PB during a marathon. I know when FFR Pro was doing his run for Panel de Pon on Saturday, he wound up getting a new PB, and which he also holds the world record for easy to S hard for Panel de Pon during the marathon the other day, which was exciting.
Yes, this is also one of those games. Unlike quite a few of the games you'll see in marathons, where there aren't too many marathon safe tactics that you can employ. So it is not out of the question to see a potential world record in a game like this.
I'm actually glad that somebody brought up second tier strats. For anybody who doesn't know what a second tier strat is, if you rewind a bit to when I was explaining how the garbage works and how if it's more chunked up, it's gonna clear differently. If you've been noticing, there can actually end up being tiles in between pieces of garbage. So when on the later stages, not so much in Tetris Attack, but when we get into the other games as well, actually FFR had it on his screen right now. One of the strategies is, if you're closer to the top and you see a clear, you go for that clear, because it's going to clear the garbage that you're already dealing with. And at times, if it's a vertical clear, it's going to reach both garbages at the same time. So you're actually doing better for yourself, clearing both parts of the garbage than just one by going from underneath. And sometimes the opponent will go for the second tier strats. If they do, that can obviously be abused at times because it's going to take them longer to try to clear that than do other things. So, or you can do it for yourself. There's more nuance. It's not something that has to be done, but it's definitely an option that's available.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, but with the second tier strats, with the AI behavior at least, they tend to scan for clears from top to bottom of the screen. So if they can find a clear on top, they will, and they'll try to like gun for it with their cursor, and that'll cause them to run out of stop time that way at times, and it'll catch them off guard.
Ooh, very nice pinning down of FFR on the naval piranha plant stage. That's one of the things you can train yourself to do as you try to run this, is to look at your opponent's stack, which is admittedly a very, very difficult thing to focus on when you have to focus on your own things as well. But if you can look at your opponent's stack and see at one point, oh, they're really low on their stack. If I drop this chain that I'm sending right here, I might be able to win. So you can try to look at what your opponent is doing in order to ensure some very, very key kills.
Yeah, trying to scan, like, take quick glances at their side of the screen to see how much that you need left in order to get that kill. It's a bit of an advanced level strat, and I even admit, like, I've struggled with it at times when I first started running this game, because it's something that you don't really get used to, because you're sitting there trying to just do combos and chains like you would normally do and just focus on your side of the board instead of like glancing at their side of the board, because you're nervous about dying yourself because you're just filled in with so much garbage that you worry about dying.
Yeah, the game, to be able to glance around, it basically has to become the point where you're playing it a lot of muscle memory. I'm going to equate it to Tetris because that's more of what I'm capable to do, because being colorblind isn't really the greatest human advantage in this game at all, trust me. But if you're able to just play, you can see the stack and you know where everything is, and you can kind of do it all in your head, just muscle memory. You know how many times you're going to click right, you know how many times you're going to be hitting A. You can do it all off muscle memory, quickly glance at the side, and you know, okay, that's it, stop the chain, send the garbage, we're good. It all goes back to that push and pull.
It looks like FFR actually just finished with a 32-11. Very solid finish on his part.
Yeah, Bowser was actually good this time.
Yeah, I saw that you almost had him in like 12 seconds. That would have been an absolutely insane kill.
And Zexion's still doing good too. He's on Blarg right now. One of the things that we also kind of talked about it, but didn't really go into depth, is one of the things that you don't want to do when playing is clearing too much. In this game, it doesn't really matter too much. With the AI, it's a lot simpler in nature in comparison to games like Pokemon Puzzle League. But if you're starting out, one of the things you don't want to do is end up clearing a lot of your stack and then end up with a bunch of garbage on top. Because if you have garbage and it's taking up space in your viewport there, you try to raise it higher, the game's trying to raise everything higher for you, you're going to top out. So you don't want to be in a situation where you have nothing to clear and nothing to get rid of the garbage.
And apologies to anyone watching if they were expecting a bit more of a play-by-play type style to the commentary. This is one of those types of games where the stages are generally going to be different every time, so it's hard to apply any specific techniques or tactics or routes through the games. So you can only rely on a general techniques and such. So it's kind of hard to give a specific play-by-play on something like this, especially in a game like this that's traditionally a bit difficult to understand. Okay, so I can't
really,
tell you though,
I mean, even
that
taking
Texas-
this game into account, if you give every runner the same RNG seed, they're all going to have the same pieces. People are going to be playing differently. They're going to see different chains in their brains. They're going to be seeing different combos. They're going to be seeing different ways of clearing that whole stack. So it's really just up to you how your playstyle goes, essentially, because there's a lot of different things. Like Zexion's clearing this, but a different runner could be thinking of clearing a different block for a different chain. Because the minimum is just match 3, and there's always going to be more than 3 on the board of that same color. When you, ideally anyways, when you have the whole viewport filled up, the stack, there's just so many different things that you could do.
Alright, Zexion has now made it to the cave. Let's take a look at what he might be thinking on this stack as he sees it. As you can see, he's raising the stack very high towards the very top. That's usually the level you want to raise the stack to give yourself the most options for combos and chains. So we've got a five chain here from Zex. It's a good amount for this stage, but it need a few more combos. So he's gonna be waiting just a little bit longer for hook build to go away, and 30 seconds is generally the time you're going to see in this late game due to the increased speed of these AI. So it looks like, I don't want to jinx things too much, but it looks like Zexion might be on his way to a PB.
Yeah, it's definitely looking pretty good. One of the things I want to make sure that we also mention, apologies if we already mentioned it, but the way that chains work as well is if you've been... One of the things that early players will do is when to do chains, honestly the easiest one is when you clear garbage, it's going to turn into tiles. It's very easy to try and learn to get 2 the same color underneath one that's going to fall, and you'll create a chain. One of the things that you do want to do in that case is having them of staggering heights. If you've noticed in their gameplays, if they have vertical chains that are on the same horizontal level, they're going to actually count as a combo. So instead of being ×2, ×3, it's just going to be 6. So what you want to do is actually stagger their heights, so that way, even though they get cleared at the same time, essentially, they're on the game is going to count them as different chain or different clears that have happened. So that's how you can go, for example, just all of a sudden get +3 to your chain counter only off 1 stack of garbage that you've cleared.
So yeah, for those asking in the chat, Zexion's PB in this category is a 42-11, and it looks like he's starting. Looks like he's starting decently enough. That first chain was a bit left a bit to be desired, but it looks like he's following up just fine. And Kamek usually is a bro at these points, and tends to be the most aggressive with raising his stack. In fact, I've gone so far as to beaten this particular form of Kamek in as little as 7 seconds with a 7 combo and a 2 chain. So literally 2 lines of garbage. So it does not have to take much to beat Kamek sometimes.
This time it looked like he decided to be a bro for Zexion. Sometimes Kamek and Bowser can be a bit of a troll, and they can just sit there and find clears to your garbage over and over and make you wind up having like 2-minute fights. It can be really frustrating at times.
Yeah, Bowser has raised the stack really high here. They keep finding chains, so it could still be a while yet. Oh, man.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, particularly with Kamek and Bowser, they tend to raise their stack 2 rows from the top. So you can get lucky and send 3 or 4 lines of garbage and win in like 10 seconds, as Harvard said earlier.
And there we go. It looks like Zexion finished with a very solid PB. 39:41. Congrats, Zex.
Thank you.
Nice, 2.5 minutes. Very good.
So yeah, it was a really solid run from both runners here. Yeah, for everybody who's wondering about, is this very hard mode? You're looking at Zexion's screen right now. Those stars in the background are red. That implies that it's very hard mode. There's the proof in the pudding. And now I want pudding.
Oh my goodness.
Excellent run, guys. Do you have any shout-outs to make or anything here at the end of the run?
Just shoutouts to the Puzzle General community in general, really. Like, we wouldn't really have runs without such a strong community that we've had for how long has it been, Cards? Like 5-6 years?
Oh yeah, this community started out mostly around Pokemon Puzzle League when I joined in 2013, but this has definitely been quite the tight-knit group for a considerable amount of time.
Never forget late night Pokemon Puzzle League runs every day, all day.
Yeah, we really.
Yeah, I missed that boat. I'm really sad.
I don't know. It led to a lot of burnout, but it's, yeah, honestly, shout out to the Puzzle General community. We love all puzzles, and at times we will definitely, like, if you start to read, we have a section called Puzzle University where if you want to learn the game, we will answer any questions you have. Sometimes those conversations get so in-depth, it's like, I did not realize colors and shapes could have, like, PhD essays involved with them. It's crazy to think how much mentally a person has to basically do, and it's just colors and shapes.
Yeah, when you really start going in depth with the game and breaking it down, there is a lot you can learn.
And we are willing to teach.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Aren't there also Friday evening races normally?
Sometimes.
Sometimes now. Okay, not every week anymore.
Yeah, I think we've been trying for every week, but that hasn't exactly been working out.
It's marathon season. It's like duck season and wabbit season. It just flip-flops.
And everyone's allowed to join, regardless of your skill level. You're more than welcome to join in on just random races, even if they're not during Friday nights. You can just ask in like the Versus channel.
Alright guys, we really appreciate it. Those are some awesome runs, and hope some more people jump into this. These puzzle runs are quite neat.